Sarah Aziz. I live in Monroe Township. In February 2021, during the middle school Teen Truth Zoom presentation, somebody superimposed a Nazi symbol on the face of a student of the Sikh religion and annotated it with a racial slur. Given that this incident was publicized and widely discussed, naturally it was hurtful and upsetting to our Sikh students and their families throughout the district. Yet, at the last policy meeting, it appeared that the board thought it was odd that Sikh parents of students who were not on the Zoom call filed a harassment, intimidation, and bullying complaint regarding this incident. It also seemed that though the purpose of the meeting was to reduce the number of incidents classified as HIB under the false premise that all incidents of harassment, intimidation, and bullying must be motivated by an obvious, quote-unquote, distinguishing characteristic. However, the law makes it clear that such incidents can be motivated by both an actual or a perceived characteristic, such as race, color, religion, ancestry, national origin, gender, sexual orientation, gender identity and expression, or a mental, physical, or sensory disability, or by any other distinguishing characteristic. The presumption that there needs to be an obvious distinguishing characteristic prior to an actual investigation inhibits an investigation, as does the presumption that a distinguishing characteristic has to be skin color alone. We are left with a poor and narrow interpretation of a law that was purposefully meant to account for a wide spectrum of harmful behaviors that students may inflict on others. After the school district's investigation into this particular anti-Sikh bias incident was completed over a year ago, in May 2021, the district was unable to identify the offender. However, the district did make changes to procedures related to virtual presentations to protect against these attacks. The district also agreed to offer appropriate cultural awareness and diversity training for staff, students, and the community. As an action step in their strategic action plan, the district also planned to perform a diversity audit and create a diversity council to engage the students, staff, and community members to help guide the district in the diversity awareness work. Was a diversity council ever created? Again, this report was completed 18 months ago. If so, who serves on the diversity council? What were the results of the diversity audit? I don't recall any of these things being discussed at committee meetings or at BOE meetings after the bias incident occurred. So where is the follow-up? Furthermore, I just out of curiosity, I checked the meeting minutes of the East Brunswick Board of Education, and I noticed that their monthly meeting minutes actually has a monthly HIB report in their official minutes, which lists how many HIV incidents there were, what factor motivated them, was it race or religion? It doesn't list the names of the students involved, but it tells you how many incidents there were and what the outcome was. So other districts have a lot of transparency as to the number of HIBs that are occurring in their district. And I was wondering if this district would be interested in promoting that kind of transparency, and again, the follow-up regarding that Zoom incident.
Thank you. Your characterization of what went on at the policy meeting could not be further from the truth. What you've put out on social media about myself and about Mrs. Chanley is incorrect and is quite divisive to the community, and it does not reflect at all what took place at the policy meeting. We had an open discussion about HIB, and yes, I did make mention of the incident as an example of the instances of how things come before the board, sometimes without a perpetrator, sometimes we get HIBs where the students were not affected, or it was an example that I was using as to some of the indiscrepancies in the law that we see as board members. You don't hear the HIBs, we do. So you don't know what we're discussing at a high level, and we cannot discuss the details behind that. So when we're having a discussion in the policy committee about things that we've heard, we cannot discuss all of those details. But to come out and put on social media about people being racist and biased and not wanting to stand up for the rights of the children in our district, it's not true. And it really needs to end. The
I didn't call anybody racist, but the video itself speaks for itself. So we can agree to disagree about what went on in that video. However, my question still remains about the follow-up regarding the May 2021 results of the investigation. Was there a diversity council created? What was it? Was there a diversity audit? What was the follow-through regarding that particular incident?
I'm sorry, what diversity council?
After that Zoom incident, which I believe is an incident of harassment, intimidation, and bullying, Dr. Alva produced a report that said that the district would create a diversity council. And I don't know of any diversity council that was created based on that letter.
Thank you. Dr. Lehman, would you like to discuss
I think
that?
I could fill in some of the blanks. Again, the previous superintendent was leading that process. So we worked with the Sikh Coalition during and after the incident. Several administrators, the superintendent and myself met with them to work through strategies and support the Sikh population in our township. We met with parents, we met with representatives from our local community in terms of anyone who was impacted by that incident. While we were developing the strategic plan, the beginning of the strategic plan, we were getting quotes and information from some vendors, one of which we're actually utilizing for the mental health support, the grant-related piece, to do some additional work, whether it was, one of the ideas was a diversity audit. They would take a look at our programs, our curricula, really like a random sampling of it, and just kind of take a look at the books we're reading and things, and do they represent or do they have a sampling of our current population in the township. Involved in that is also professional development for the administrative team, professional development for some of the staff, and then turnkeying it to the staff. It was a relatively significant financial piece, and not something, by the time we were in that process, did we have the ability to cover with a grant. The grant was mental health related, which is why we ended up going with the mental health side of things instead of the diversity side. It's something that it's in our strategic plan. It's something that's on my radar. But it's something that we need to financially prepare for, because it's bigger than just bringing 8 or 10 adults from the community together to have a conversation. This would be a comprehensive look at us as an organization, as a community, and start discussing things about us as a group. And do we represent ourselves? Do we meet the needs of the diverse population of our students? And I'm looking at Ms. Bora because she spoke about some of the things she attended in New Jersey school boards, and I can probably read her mind about what she's thinking about, because that's a lot of the work that I see and a lot of the work we see when we interact with other districts, because we're all in different stages. Right now, we are managing a mental health piece. Some other districts prioritized a diversity issue that was bubbling up in their township. So we can't do everything all at the same time. So we're pulled in many directions. We were heading down the diversity piece. We got in a good place in terms of protecting ourselves from incidents like that happening again, security-wise. But we do have to do some work on the diversity side of things, in terms of a curriculum audit, in terms of just the way our staff, myself, all of us included, interact with each other, and how we manage and understand and learn various cultures and things. So that is something that we have in the forefront of us, but it's the Diversity Council, in quotes, was not created because that was a part of this process that we were working on with this company that we ended up having the mental health side that work on instead. They were going to do a diversity council that would be representative of the community as well as us as a school. They would lead the charge as a community group with the guidance of these professionals to kind of take a look at everything. And part of that was the diversity audit of our programs in schools and curricula. So that's where that came from. It's something that we need to do. Whether it's this company or another company. And again, the mental health side of things, it's the big company. Whether they know it or not, their interactions and their engagement with us with the mental health piece will influence whether we kind of go down the road with them or consider someone else on the diversity piece too, because they are one company. This is almost like an interview for them. It would be different professionals and things, but that's kind of where we're heading. It's not to say it's not going to happen, but it's the timing and the way things happened, and we had other bubbling needs coming through COVID that we just had to
Okay,
kind of
so
rearrange.
there's no deadline or timeline or anything?
Thank you.
No.